Today we're going to be going over the scientific method. So first let's review our vocabulary words, and you can use the homework that I gave to you last night so you can be familiar with these because I know we haven't gone over them that much. Can anyone tell me what a type of graph used to show comparisons is?
Bar graph.
Correct. What about in an experimental investigation, what is observed and measured? The data.
Data.
That one's kind of in the questions itself, so good job. That was an easy one. Let's do a harder one. A group that has nothing done to it.
Control group.
Good job. Let's see. What about a guess about the relationship between variables, the statement that can be tested?
Hypothesis.
Yes. And we're going to be learning how to form a hypothesis today, later after we do an experiment. About the metric unit of distance?
Meter.
Correct. And what about the metric unit of mass?
Gram.
Good job. Okay, does anyone know what we call the final summary of an investigation?
Conclusion.
What about observations and results of an experiment?
Data analysis.
Y'all are pros. This type of graph is typically used to show changes over time or distance.
Line graph.
Good. Another one of our vocab words was bar graph, but the difference there is that this one is time or distance, and bar graph is comparisons. What about a step-by-step procedure of scientific problem solving?
Scientific method.
Good job. All right, let's go on to our next slide. Okay, there are 5 steps to the scientific method. The first one is you ask a question about something that's observed. Questions that are like how, why, and what. Step 2 is you do research and collect data on your question. Step 3, you construct a hypothesis, which I'll be teaching you how to do. Step 4, you test with an experiment. And step 5, you analyze your results and you form a conclusion. And then you can check and see if your hypothesis is correct. All right, what is a hypothesis? It's an educated guess about how things work. Use if-then statements. An example would be, if blank, I do this, then blank, this will happen. We're going to watch a video, or at least the first half of a video, and then I want you to pay attention, collect data and observations, and then let me know what you think will happen. And I'm going to stop it halfway through.
In the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. One Sunday morning, the warm sun came up and pop! Out of the egg came a tiny and very hungry caterpillar. He started to look for some food. On Monday, he ate through one apple, but he was still hungry. On Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears, but he was still hungry. On Wednesday, he ate through 3 plums, but he was still hungry. On Thursday, he ate through 4 strawberries, but he was still hungry. On Friday, he ate through 5 oranges, but he was still hungry. On Saturday, he ate through 1 piece of chocolate cake, 1 ice cream cone, 1 pickle, 1 slice of Swiss cheese, 1 slice of salami, 1 lollipop, 1 piece of cherry pie, 1 sausage, 1 cupcake, and 1 slice of watermelon.
Okay, I know that video was kind of juvenile, but it's one of my favorite stories, and I thought it would be fun to watch that and develop our own hypothesis about what would happen just for some practice. So, has anyone come up with what they think will happen to the hungry caterpillar? Aaron, you want to come write it on the board for us?
Sure.
How about the exact same way you did it?
As we, good. If the caterpillar eats all the junk food, then he will get sick. Give it to me. All right, does anybody have anything different?
Well, we did ours and she was,
Yes. Oh, you think he will die?
she was like,
Well, we're just gonna have to see.
Crap, I gotta make the Walgreens. I didn't do the standards. Well, I have the standards, but I didn't put in the notebook.
That night he had
Don't
a
get put in the
stomachache.
notebook?
The next day was Sunday again.
I'll be back later.
I
The
heard you have to put
caterpillar
it in
ate
the
not one nice green leaf, and after that he felt much better. Now he wasn't hungry anymore, and he wasn't a little caterpillar anymore. He was a big, fat caterpillar. He built a small house called a cocoon around himself. He stayed inside.
Okay. Now, what do you think is gonna happen now that he built a cocoon around himself?
He's gonna turn into a butterfly.
Yes, so you can say, if the caterpillar builds a cocoon, he will turn into a butterfly. Okay, for those of you who haven't heard this story or have never seen this video before, you use the data that you got from the story and the information that it gave you so far to form an educated guess about what would happen. And that's the same thing that we're going to do in our lab today. It's going to be a sinking ships lab where you're going to take aluminum foil that I give to you, fold it, make it into a boat, and put it into a tub of water where it's going to be floating. And you're going to start dropping pennies into the boat one by one. You're going to observe what happens, then draw a conclusion. But before we actually do the lab, I want you to think about what I just told you, the procedure that we're going to do. Think about what's going to happen to the boat if you start dropping pennies on it. Maybe the first few ones won't do anything, but then just think to yourself and make an educated guess about what you think will happen. I'm going to start a timer and give you 2 minutes at your seat to form your own hypothesis, given the information. Also, don't forget to use your if-then statements. Okay. Did you come up with a hypothesis?
Yes.
Come write it on the board for everyone. Hold on, one minute. Okay, that should be good. All right, if you put too many pennies in the boat, then the boat will sink. And we can test that after we do our experiment later. Another example would be, your friend loves your cooking, so she asked you to bake her some homemade chocolate chip cookies. The recipe calls for milk, eggs, flour, chocolate chips, butter, and sugar. While you're making the dough, you realize you ran out of sugar halfway through. You decide to finish making them anyways. What do you think will happen to the cookies when they're finished? Aaron.
They won't be sweet
Why?
because there's no sugar.
Good, so how would you write that in an if-then format?
If you run out of sugar, then the cookies won't be sweet.
If you run out of sugar, then the cookies won't